The market is totally cooling, everyone, and there's so much data coming out right now showing that basically, yeah, we are in the middle of huge price declines right now. We're seeing it before our eyes, and it's literally happening 1 month to the next. Again, definitely we were in a housing bubble, guys, and it's so clear. Starting at 2019, the prices have ballooned like crazy in just the 3 years. And when you think about coronavirus shutting down the economy, and just everything kind of being out of whack, the country printing out so much money. Now we have raging inflation going on, and to think that prices are still so high in the housing market, it's a clear indicator that something is totally out of whack. We have been reading articles and seeing how there's certain people that are trying to cherry pick the data when they're talking about the housing market. They're basically saying the housing recession is fine, it's not going to bring the prices down and whatnot. Well, the truth is that we have bigger problems, and unlike '08 where it was literally a housing crisis, today we're not in a housing crisis, right? I don't believe we're in a housing crisis. I believe we're in a housing bubble, which is kind of different. I think the crisis is inflation. I think the crisis is that the rest of the world is also suffering from super high inflation. And essentially what could possibly happen, and what's most likely what is happening, we're going to have to see but we're going to have to see the next GDP report. Basically, when the next GDP report comes out and we have a further contraction, right? That would be 3 consecutive quarters of contraction. That's gonna spell trouble, to be honest, right? When we go into this holiday season with a slower GDP growth, let's see what happens, because in many ways, what could be the signs would be that people don't spend as much, and as a result, come January, February, these companies start reporting their Christmas sales, and they're pretty low, and they could start the stock market could begin to crash. We could start to see some layoffs, and then that will trigger now housing to drop. Get it? So the problem right now is looking at the information and deciding, is this a good time to buy? Because if you're in the business of real estate, truth is, if you go meet with a realtor right now, well, what are they going to tell you? They're going to tell you, man, this is a great buying opportunity. Prices are down, and they are, right? They're going to be like, there's price reductions. And depending on how good the real estate agent is and how motivated the buyer is, yeah, you're going to probably make a sale. But the truth is, for the most majority of people, I think a lot of people are sitting on the sidelines because they're kind of like, no way, Jose. You know what? We don't know what's going to happen in 6 months. Maybe that house is going to be worth a lot less. Maybe it's going to be worth $30,000 less. So why do I want to jump in? Now, my opinion is that you're probably better off buying a cheaper house with a higher interest rate than a more expensive house with a lower interest rate. Why? Because interest rates always fluctuate, and you could always refinance later, right, in time. But when you buy the property at a lower price, you're borrowing a lot less, and that makes a big deal. And your property taxes will be less. And you know what? As it rises, you basically create instant equity. When you buy it, if you're buying today, right, or you bought last month, well, unfortunately, you're probably going to be underwater, right? Because prices are coming down. Look at this chart right here, okay? We have Boise, Idaho as number 1. They've seen a 70% decline in basically price cuts, okay? A year ago today, it was 30% price cuts. So that's a huge difference. That means that people are trying to get out. They're saying, holy moly, we need to sell this house. Then you have Salt Lake City, 56, Phoenix, 50%, Stockton. Again, the writing's on the wall here, guys. So like Tampa, Anaheim, Austin, all these people are trying to get out, and they're very motivated sellers. And when we start seeing price cuts is when we start seeing the cracks in basically the bubble popping, essentially, right? Here is, this person said, the price here, let me highlight it real quick. The prices, they priced too high because their neighbor's home sold for an exorbitant price a few months ago and expected to receive multiple offers the first weekend because they heard stories about that happening. Well, that's not happening anymore, right? Those days are over. The reason, look, the bubble basically happened because people took advantage of low interest rates. And the reason they did that is because they're trying to hedge against inflation because they know inflation is coming. So the people with the means, they jumped into the market and try to buy whatever. Companies try to go in and buy homes. That's why you heard people paying over asking. You know how hard it is for like a regular family to be able to put money over asking? It's so hard because once the bank approves you, let's just say they approve you for $420,000. Okay, you're approved for that. And you find a house, that for $420,000. Well, the problem at that moment is if you have someone bidding above asking, and let's just say they take it up to $460,000, the bank's not going to let you borrow more than $420,000. The bank, if you want to get to $460,000, you're going to have to cough up an extra $40,000 or like $45,000 to beat that other person, right? Just to get into that house. Now, if you're already having to save for the down payment, right? Where the hell are you going to get $40,000 extra dollars to get that house? So that's what was happening. Well, that person that came in that was able to put that kind of money, obviously they have more money than you, for example, right? Coming in at your budget. And it's just, it created a whole mess of problems, right? Some of these people that were bidding above asking price, they were literally computers buying, bots that basically operate for some of these companies like Blackstone. I mean, they're literally just like, they look at a market and they just put in offers and they keep raising the offer until they get the house. It was kind of ridiculous, and it really, I think it's going to really hurt the regular citizens because just the regular communities, when they get priced out of where they live, that's a big problem in my opinion. And we're starting to see the cracks, but I think we're at the beginning, right? Because I don't think the recession is going to be a result of a housing crash. I think the bigger problem, like I've said in some other videos, is that we have an inflation problem. And as a result of having an inflation problem, it's basically slowing down GDP, and, it's going to most likely push us into a recession, which, will essentially bring down the housing market. Jumping over to the Redfin weekly housing market data, I mean, we could just see the cracks. This is a huge drop in my opinion. The funny part when I look at this chart is the median listing price, right? People are still listing high. So this is interesting because I've read a lot of stories where they're sitting there and saying, people are still listing high, prices are still high. And I'm like, yeah, okay. But why don't you look at the actual sale price? The sale price reflects something totally different. Look, the sale price, they're under this 380 mark, yet the median price is way over the 380 mark. You see that right there? So there's a huge disparity between what people think they're getting, because people are like they said in that article, they're like, well, a few months ago, my buddy sold my neighbor sold their house for X amount. It's like, okay, well, you know what? Not anymore. We're in a buyer's market now, and buyers are saying it's too hot. I'm not jumping in. And now, here's the thing, right? As these prices are coming down, all those people who bought at the peak, now they're freaking out a little bit. Now they're like, hey, okay, we bought enough houses. For example, like these companies like Blackstone, they're like, well, we bought enough. We're kind of gonna step back, and because look, if Blackstone bought houses in this peak right here, or anybody who bought in this peak, which was literally like 2 months ago, they're underwater. They're underwater by almost right now like $25,000. Okay, so think about that. Just think about that. So why would anybody want to jump in the market right now? So you know what? There's a lot of moving. There's a lot of moving elements right now. The economy is kind of in a weird place. So just you can't just look at one little sector. You have to look at all sectors and kind of put it all together. And inflation is kind of a big deal. And when you think about the cost of food and the cost of gas, people are gonna possibly, if they were thinking about going on a end of the summer vacation real quick, or a nice quick getaway, they might say, I'm gonna hold off on that. Like maybe people are gonna say, maybe it's time to pay off my credit card, right? Maybe I should stop spending as much. And if we have that sentiment going into a holiday season, you could see how we're going to have some serious problems, right? Okay, guys, I am going to go ahead and finish this video. I want to say a big, huge thank you to everyone who's been watching my videos, who's been liking my videos, leaving comments. Guys, it really makes, it really means a lot to me. And I just want to say thank you so much. If you're new to my channel and you like what I have to say, please don't forget to smash that subscribe button and go ahead and like and leave a comment. Again, thank you guys so much. I love every single one of you guys, and I'll see you on the next video.